The clock struck midnight when housekeeper Eunice Murray heard the crash from Marilyn's bedroom. She ran down the hallway, her heart pounding. The door was locked from the inside. Through the gap under the door, she could see the lights were still on. "Miss Monroe, are you all right?" No answer. Eunice pressed her ear against the door. Silence. Then a sound. Papers rustling. Something being dragged across the floor. "Miss Monroe, please answer me." Still nothing. Eunice ran to the phone. Her hands shook as she dialed. But before anyone could answer, she heard it. Marilyn's voice. Not screaming. Not crying. Laughing. A cold, hollow laugh that sent chills down Eunice's spine. What Eunice didn't know was that in the next 6 hours, everything she thought she knew about Marilyn Monroe, about Hollywood, about the truth, would shatter into 1,000 pieces. August 4th, 1962. Los Angeles. Brentwood. Earlier that evening, Marilyn Monroe had been alone in her house. She'd sent Eunice home early, said she wanted privacy. She'd been on the phone all day, whispering, arguing, crying. Peter Lawford had called 3 times. She didn't answer. Her psychiatrist, Dr. Greenson, had visited in the afternoon. They'd talked for an hour behind closed doors. When he left, his face was pale. Worried. "Keep an eye on her," he'd told Eunice. "Don't leave her alone tonight," but Marilyn had insisted. "I'm fine. I just need to rest." "Please, Eunice." "Go home." So Eunice had left, but something felt wrong. So wrong that she'd turned around and come back 2 hours later, and that's when she heard the crash. Now standing outside that locked bedroom door, Eunice made a decision. She went to the window. Marilyn's bedroom faced the back garden. The curtains were drawn, but there was a small gap. Eunice looked through. What she saw made her gasp. Marilyn was on her knees on the floor, surrounded by papers, hundreds of them. Documents, photographs, letters. They were everywhere, spread across the carpet like a paper ocean, and Marilyn was reading them, one by one, her face illuminated by the bedside lamp, tears streaming down her cheeks. But that wasn't what made Eunice's blood run cold. It was the safe. Marilyn's bedroom had a small wall safe behind a painting. Eunice had seen it before but never seen it open. Marilyn had always been secretive about it. "Just some jewelry," she'd said once. Nothing important. But now the safe was wide open, and it was empty. All those papers on the floor. They'd come from that safe. Eunice knocked on the window. "Miss Monroe." Marilyn's head snapped up. For a moment, their eyes met through the glass. And Eunice saw something in Marilyn's eyes she'd never seen before. Terror. Pure, absolute terror. Marilyn stood up quickly, rushed to the window, pulled the curtains closed. Eunice ran back to the front door, pounded on it. "Miss Monroe, open this door right now." The door opened. Marilyn stood there, still in her white robe, hair disheveled, makeup smeared. But she was smiling. "Eunice, what are you doing here? I thought I sent you home. I heard a crash. I was worried. Are you all right?" "I'm fine. I just knocked over a lamp." "Clumsy me," she laughed, but it was that same hollow laugh. "Miss Monroe, I saw the papers. The safe, what's going on?" Marilyn's smile vanished. "You saw nothing, Eunice. Do you understand? Nothing. But go home. Now. And don't come back until morning." "I can't leave you like this," Dr. Greenson said. Marilyn grabbed Eunice's arm. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "Listen to me very carefully. What's in that room, what I'm reading right now, it's dangerous. If you know about it, you're in danger too, so please, for your own safety, leave." Eunice stared at her. "What did you find in that safe?" Marilyn's eyes filled with tears. "The truth, Eunice. I found the truth. And it's going to destroy everything." But the real shock was still coming. Because what Marilyn found in that safe wasn't just documents. It was a recording. A voice recording that would reveal Hollywood's darkest conspiracy 3 hours earlier. Before the crash. Before the papers, Marilyn had been sitting on her bed staring at the wall safe. She'd been thinking about it for weeks. The safe had been installed when she bought the house. The previous owner had left it, said it was empty. But Marilyn had found the combination in a drawer, written on a small piece of paper, hidden inside an old book. She'd been too afraid to open it. What if there was nothing inside? What if it was just empty? But tonight something had pushed her. A phone call. "Marilyn, you need to be careful." The voice had been disguised, muffled. They know you've been asking questions. They know you're getting close to the truth. Who is this? Someone who wants to help you. Check your safe. The previous owner left something for you. Something they didn't want found. What previous owner? What are you talking about? Her name was Dorothy Dandridge, and she knew too much. The line went dead. Dorothy Dandridge. Marilyn knew that name. A brilliant actress. One of the first black women to be nominated for an Academy Award. She'd lived in this house before Marilyn bought it, and she'd died. Just months before Marilyn moved in. Overdose, they said. Accidental. But now this mysterious caller was suggesting something else. Marilyn's hands trembled as she opened the safe. Inside she found a metal box. Inside the box, dozens of documents, and a small tape recorder with a cassette already inside. She pressed play. Dorothy's voice filled the room. If you're listening to this, I'm probably dead. They got to me. But I'm leaving this for whoever comes after. Maybe they'll have the courage I didn't. Marilyn's breath caught. Dorothy continued. I discovered something. A network, a system. It goes all the way to the top. Studio heads, politicians, law enforcement. They're all connected. And they're doing things. Terrible things, the tape hissed. Dorothy's voice broke. I have proof. Names, dates, photographs, bank records, everything. It's all in this box. I was going to go public. But they threatened me. Said if I spoke, they'd destroy me. They'd say I was crazy. A drug addict. They'd ruin my career. My reputation. Everything I worked for. Silence. Then Dorothy spoke again, quieter now. So I stayed silent. And it's killing me. The guilt. The shame. Every day I see girls coming to Hollywood with dreams. And I know what's waiting for them. The same trap. The same system. Another pause. Marilyn Monroe. If you're hearing this, you bought my house. You're living in my space. And you're probably going through the same things I went through. The parties. The meetings. The powerful men who think they own you. Marilyn's hands were shaking so hard she almost dropped the recorder. Don't make my mistake. Don't stay silent. Use this evidence. Expose them. Even if it costs you everything. Because silence is what kills us in the end. The tape ended. Marilyn sat in stunned silence. Then she opened the box and started reading. The first document was a list of names. Studio executives, producers, directors, politicians, lawyers, judges, police officers, all connected in a web of corruption and abuse. The second document was bank records. Money transfers, payments, hush money, bribes. The third document was testimony. Dorothy's own handwritten account of what had happened to her. What they'd done. What they'd forced her to do. And photographs. Dozens of them, parties, private meetings, compromising situations, evidence of crimes that would send these powerful men to prison. Marilyn read page after page. With each word, her horror grew, because she recognized these names. She knew these men. She'd been at some of these parties, and suddenly everything made sense. All the whispers. All the rumors. All the girls who came to Hollywood and disappeared. All the careers destroyed. All the lives ruined. It was all connected. All planned. All protected, and Dorothy had tried to expose it. And she'd died. Now Marilyn held the same evidence. The same power. The same danger. She looked at the phone. Should she call someone? But who? The police? They were on the list. Lawyers? Also on the list. The press? Half the reporters were being paid off. There was no one to trust except herself. That's when she heard footsteps outside. A car pulling up. Doors closing, voices. Marilyn's heart raced. Had they come for her already? Did they know? She quickly gathered the documents, shoved them back in the box, closed the safe. But she kept one document. The list of names. She hid it under her mattress. The doorbell rang. Don't miss this detail. Because the person at the door wasn't who Marilyn expected. Marilyn peered through the window. A black car in the driveway. But not a police car. Something else. Government plates. She opened the door slowly. Two men in suits stood there. Both middle-aged, professional, cold expressions. Miss Monroe. We need to talk. Who are you? The first man pulled out a badge. FBI. We have information that you may be in possession of classified materials. Marilyn's stomach dropped. I don't know what you're talking about. May we come in? Do you have a warrant? The second man smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. We don't need a warrant, Miss Monroe. This is a matter of national security. National security? I'm an actress. What could I possibly have that... Dorothy Dandridge's files. The first man's voice was flat. Matter of fact. We know she left them here. We know you found them tonight. Marilyn's blood ran cold. How did they know? How could they possibly know? We've been monitoring this house since Dandridge's death, the second man explained, as if reading her mind. Waiting to see if anyone would find what she hid. And tonight you triggered the alarm. What alarm? The one in the safe. It sends a signal when opened. Marilyn felt sick. It had been a trap. Dorothy had left the evidence, but they'd been watching all along. Waiting. Where are the documents, Miss Monroe? I don't have them. We saw you take them out of the safe. I put them back. The first man stepped forward. Miss Monroe, you don't understand the situation you're in. Those documents contain sensitive information about ongoing investigations, about national security operations. If that information becomes public, it could compromise. Compromise what? Marilyn's voice rose. Compromise your cover-up? Compromise your protection of criminals? The men exchanged glances. So you read them, the second man said. Enough to know what you're protecting. And it's not national security. It's a crime syndicate operating in plain sight. The first man's expression hardened. You're going to give us those documents now? No. Miss Monroe, get out of my house. The second man pulled out a phone, made a call, spoke quietly, hung up. We're going to give you 1 hour, he said, to think about your decision, because right now, you have a choice. Give us the documents and this all goes away. You continue your life, your career, everything is normal. And if I don't, then you become another Dorothy Dandridge. Another tragic story of a troubled star who couldn't handle the pressure. Another overdose. Another accident. Marilyn's hands clenched into fists. You killed her. You murdered Dorothy. The men didn't confirm or deny. They just stood there. 1 hour, Miss Monroe. We'll be waiting outside. They left. Marilyn locked the door behind them, ran back to her bedroom, opened the safe again, grabbed all the documents. She had to hide them. Somewhere they wouldn't find. Somewhere safe, but where? That's when she remembered. The garden? There was a spot under the rose bush where she sometimes buried personal letters. A small waterproof box she kept there. She gathered the documents, wrapped them in plastic, ran outside. The FBI agents were in their car, watching. But they couldn't see the back garden from there. She dug quickly, buried the box, covered it with soil, smoothed it over. By the time she got back inside, she was covered in dirt, shaking, terrified. The phone rang. She answered. Marilyn, it's Peter. Peter Lawford, her friend, Kennedy's brother-in-law. Peter, I can't talk right now. I know what's happening. I know about the documents. Listen to me very carefully. You need to give them what they want. Marilyn froze. How do you know about... Because I'm part of it, Marilyn. I've always been part of it. The room spun. Peter? I'm sorry. I really am. But you need to understand. This is bigger than you. Bigger than me. Bigger than Hollywood. These people... They'll kill you without hesitation, just like they killed Dorothy. You knew. You knew she was murdered. We all knew. But we couldn't do anything. The system protects itself, Marilyn, always. Tears streamed down her face. You're supposed to be my friend. I am your friend. That's why I'm calling. That's why I'm warning you. Give them the documents. Forget what you read. Move on with your life. I can't do that. Then you're going to die tonight. The line went dead. You won't believe what happened next. Because Marilyn made a decision that no one saw coming. Marilyn stood in her bedroom, surrounded by the chaos of her discovery. The empty safe, the scattered papers she hadn't buried, the tape recorder still on the bed. She had less than an hour before the FBI agents came back, before they forced their way in, before they took everything and made her disappear. She could run. She could grab whatever money she had and flee. Mexico, Europe, anywhere. But they'd find her. They always found people who ran. She could call the press. But which reporters could she trust? And would they even believe her? She could call the police. But the police were on the list. There was no way out. No one to help. No one to trust. She looked at the phone. One last option. She picked up the receiver. Dialed a number she'd memorized but never called. It rang 3 times. Hello? A woman's voice, cautious. This is Marilyn Monroe. I need to speak to Robert Kennedy. Right now. It's urgent. A pause. Miss Monroe, the Attorney General doesn't take calls at this hour. Tell him it's about the Dandridge files. Tell him if he doesn't call me back in 5 minutes, I'm going to the press with everything." She hung up. 4 minutes later, the phone rang. "Miss Monroe." Robert Kennedy's voice was smooth, controlled. "I understand you have some documents that don't belong to you. These documents belong to the American people. They prove corruption at the highest levels of— I know what they prove, Miss Monroe. I also know that you're currently surrounded by federal agents who have orders to retrieve those documents by any means necessary. Are you threatening me? I'm protecting you. Those agents don't work for me. They work for people I've been investigating. People who want those documents to disappear. And they want you to disappear too." Marilyn's mind raced. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that Dorothy Dandridge discovered a criminal network that's been operating in Hollywood for decades. She gathered evidence. She was going to testify, and they killed her before she could. And you knew? You knew this whole time? I've been building a case. But I need evidence. Hard evidence. And you just found it. So you want me to give it to you? I want you to trust me. Let me protect you. Let me use that evidence to bring these people down. How do I know you're not one of them? You don't, but right now I'm your only option." Marilyn looked out the window. The black car was still there, waiting. "What do I do?" "First, tell me where the documents are." "I buried them. In the garden. Under the rose bush on the east side. Smart. Now listen carefully. In 10 minutes, a different car is going to arrive. Federal marshals, my people. When they knock, let them in. They'll get you out of there safely. What about the FBI agents outside? Leave them to me. And then what? Where do I go? Somewhere safe. Until we can use this evidence properly. Until we can protect you and build a case that will actually stand up in court. How long? I don't know, weeks, maybe months. My career. Your career won't matter if you're dead, Miss Monroe." She closed her eyes. He was right. She knew he was right. "Okay, I'll wait for your people. Marilyn, one more thing. Don't trust anyone. Not Peter, not your doctors, not your friends. They've all been compromised." The line went dead. Marilyn sat on her bed, waiting, watching the clock. 8 minutes passed. Headlights appeared in the driveway. A different car. White sedan, 2 people got out. A man and a woman. Both in professional attire, they knocked. Marilyn opened the door cautiously. "Miss Monroe, we're U.S. Marshals the Attorney General sent us. They showed badges, different from the FBI badges. Real or fake?" Marilyn couldn't tell anymore. "We need to move quickly," the female marshal said. "Do you have any belongings you need?" "Just let me grab a few things." Marilyn ran to her bedroom, threw some clothes in a bag, grabbed her jewelry, her passport, money from the drawer. When she came back, the marshals were talking quietly. Still outside. "We're going to have a problem." They stopped when they saw her. "Ready?" Marilyn nodded. They walked to the door, opened it. The FBI agents were standing right there, blocking the way. "Step aside," the male marshal said. "This woman is under federal protection." "She's under investigation," the first FBI agent countered. "She's not going anywhere." The female marshal pulled out a document. "This is a direct order from the Attorney General. Supersedes your authority." The FBI agents looked at each other. Then the second one smiled. "The Attorney General doesn't have authority over national security matters, and this is a national security matter. Standoff." For a moment, nobody moved. Then the female marshal's radio crackled. A voice came through, distorted. "All units, stand down. Federal jurisdiction confirmed. Allow transfer." The FBI agents' faces darkened, but they stepped aside. Marilyn was escorted to the white sedan. She looked back at her house, her home. Would she ever see it again? As they drove away, she saw the FBI agents getting into their car. "Following. They're tailing us," she said. "We know," the female marshal replied. "Don't worry. We'll lose them." The car accelerated. Through residential streets, through Hollywood. Onto the freeway, the black car followed. Getting closer. Suddenly, the white sedan turned sharply. Took an exit. Weaved through surface streets, the black car tried to follow but got stuck at a red light. They'd lost them. Marilyn exhaled. Safe. For now. Where are we going? A safe house. In Pasadena. You'll stay there until the Attorney General figures out the next steps. Just when everything seemed under control, Something happened that changed everything. The safe house was a small apartment in a quiet neighborhood. Plain, unremarkable, perfect for hiding. The marshals brought Marilyn inside, showed her around. Kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, all basic but functional. "Someone will bring you food tomorrow," the male marshal said. "Don't leave. Don't call anyone. Don't answer the door unless you hear our code knock." He demonstrated. 3 short knocks, pause, 2 more. "How long will I be here?" "We don't know yet. Just stay put." They left. Marilyn was alone. She walked to the window, peered through the blinds. The street was empty, quiet, normal. She sat on the couch, tried to process everything. Just hours ago she'd been at home. Now she was in hiding, a fugitive, a witness, a target. Her whole life had changed in one night. She thought about the documents, still buried in her garden. Would they find them? Would Robert Kennedy's people retrieve them? She thought about Dorothy Dandridge. How scared she must have been. How alone, living in that house, knowing what she knew, unable to tell anyone. And how she'd died. Was it really them? Had they really murdered her and made it look like an accident? Marilyn shivered. Hours passed. She tried to sleep but couldn't. Every sound made her jump. Every car that drove by made her heart race. At 3 a.m. there was a knock at the door. 3 short knocks, pause, 2 more. The code. Marilyn opened the door. A man stood there. Not one of the marshals. Someone new, older, gray hair, tired eyes. "Miss Monroe?" "I'm Special Agent Collins. May I come in?" Marilyn hesitated, but he'd used the code knock. "Okay," he entered. Looked around, satisfied they were alone. "I need to ask you some questions about what you found tonight." "I already told the Attorney General." "I know what you told him, but I need details, names, dates, everything you remember from those documents." Marilyn sat down. "Why? You're going to retrieve them, right?" Collins' expression was grim. "There's been a complication." "What kind of complication?" "When our people went to your house to dig up the documents, they were gone." Marilyn's blood ran cold. "Gone, but I buried them. I know exactly where. Someone got there first. Dug them up. Took them. Who?" "We don't know. But whoever it was, they moved fast. Within an hour of you leaving." Marilyn stood up, paced. "This doesn't make sense. Only 3 people knew where they were. Me, you, and the Attorney General. And whoever was listening." "What?" Collins pulled out a small device. "We found this in your bedroom. A listening device. Someone's been monitoring your house, probably for months." Marilyn felt sick. Everything she'd said. Every phone call. Every conversation. Someone had been listening. "So they heard me tell Kennedy where the documents were." "Yes, and they got there before we could." "Then it's over. The evidence is gone. Dorothy's legacy is gone. Those men are going to get away with—" "Not necessarily." Collins leaned forward. "Dorothy was smart. She didn't just leave 1 copy." Marilyn stared at him. "What do you mean?" "She sent copies. To different people. People she trusted. Safe deposit boxes, lawyers, friends. We've been tracking them down." "You have copies?" "Some, but not all. And not the most damaging ones. Those were in the box you found." "So what now?" "Now you need to remember. Everything you read. Every name. Every detail. Because you might be the only person who knows the full extent of what Dorothy discovered." Marilyn closed her eyes, tried to recall. The names. The faces. The documents. There were studio heads. 3 of them. I recognize their names. Go on. Bank records showing payments. Millions of dollars moving through shell companies. To who? Politicians, judges, police officers, even some FBI agents, Collins wrote quickly. And photographs, parties, private meetings, girls. Young girls. Her voice broke. Collins waited. There was a testimony. Dorothy's handwritten account. About what happened to her. What they made her do. The threats. The violence. Do you remember specifics? Marilyn told him everything she could remember. Every detail. Every name. When she finished, Collins closed his notebook. This is good. This is enough to start subpoenas, to start building a case. But without the physical evidence, but we'll find it. We have people looking. And in the meantime, you're safe here. He stood to leave. Agent Collins? Yes? Dorothy's death. Was it really them? Collins looked at her for a long moment. Yes, it was them. And they made it look like an accident, like she was depressed, like she took too many pills. But we know the truth. How? Because 3 days before she died, she contacted our office, said she wanted to testify, said she had evidence. We told her we'd protect her. We set up a meeting, and she never made it to the meeting. They got to her first. Tears filled Marilyn's eyes. I can't let that happen again. I can't let her death be for nothing. It won't be. I promise you. We're going to get these people, and you're going to help us do it. He left. Marilyn sat alone in the quiet apartment. Outside, dawn was breaking. A new day. She thought about Dorothy, about all the girls who'd come to Hollywood with dreams, about all the lives destroyed by this system, and she made a decision. She wouldn't hide forever. She wouldn't let them win. She would testify. She would tell the world everything she knew. Even if it cost her everything. Even if it cost her life. But you haven't seen the biggest twist yet. Because the next morning, something arrived that changed the entire game. Marilyn woke to another knock. The code knock. She opened the door carefully. The female marshal from last night stood there. But she wasn't alone. She had a package. This was delivered to the Attorney General's office this morning. It's addressed to you. Marilyn took the package. Brown paper. No return address. Just her name typed on a label. Should I open it? We already scanned it. It's safe. The marshal left. Marilyn sat on the couch. Opened the package slowly. Inside was a tape recorder. And a cassette. And a note. The note read, "Play this. Then decide." Marilyn's hand shook as she loaded the tape. Pressed play, static. Then a voice. Not Dorothy's voice this time. A man's voice, older, rough, familiar somehow. "Miss Monroe?" "My name is not important. What's important is what I'm about to tell you." The voice paused. I worked as a private investigator in Hollywood for 30 years. I've seen things. Terrible things. And I've been paid very well to stay quiet about them. Another pause. But I'm dying now. Cancer, 6 months left, they say. And I've decided that I don't want to take these secrets to my grave. The voice continued. Dorothy Dandridge hired me 2 years before she died. She wanted me to investigate certain parties, certain meetings. She'd been at these gatherings and seen things that disturbed her. Marilyn's attention sharpened. What I found was worse than she imagined. It wasn't just Hollywood executives. It wasn't just powerful men taking advantage of young actresses. It was organized, systematic, a network. The investigator's voice grew darker. They would identify vulnerable girls, runaways, orphans, girls with no family. No one to miss them if they disappeared. They'd promise them stardom, fame, fortune, and then silence. Then they'd trap them, compromise them, force them into situations they couldn't escape. And if they tried to speak up, they'd be silenced. Permanently. Marilyn felt sick. I gave Dorothy all my evidence, files, photographs, recordings, everything. She was going to go public. She had a meeting set up with the FBI. But 3 days before that meeting, she died. And I knew it wasn't an accident. The voice shook with emotion. I was too afraid to come forward. They knew I had copies of the evidence. They threatened me, my family, my children, so I stayed silent. But now I'm dying anyway. They can't hurt me anymore, and I can't die with this guilt. The investigator cleared his throat. So I'm giving you everything, Miss Monroe. All the evidence I gathered, all the proof you need. It's in a storage unit, Unit 247 at the Hollywood Storage Facility on Vine Street. The key is in this package. Marilyn dumped out the package. Sure enough, a small key fell out. But be careful, the voice continued. Because the people we're talking about, they're still out there. Still powerful. Still dangerous. They killed Dorothy. And they'll kill you too if they get the chance. Use this evidence wisely. Give it to someone you trust. Someone who can actually do something with it. And then disappear. Change your name. Leave Hollywood. Start a new life. Because if you try to fight them publicly, you won't survive. The tape ended. Marilyn sat in stunned silence. She had the key. The location. Access to everything the investigator had gathered. All the evidence. All the proof. Everything Dorothy had died trying to expose. It was right there, waiting, but should she go get it? Was it a trap? Or was it real? She looked at the phone. Should she call Agent Collins? Tell him about the tape? But what if there was a leak? What if someone in the FBI was compromised? They'd know where the evidence was. They'd get there first. Destroy it? No, she had to go herself. She had to see this evidence with her own eyes. She grabbed her coat, put the key in her pocket, opened the door, stopped. The marshal had said not to leave, had said to stay hidden, but this was too important. She stepped outside, looked around. The street was quiet. No cars, no people. She started walking. Toward the main road. She'd need to find a taxi. Behind her, a car engine started. She turned. A black car. The same one from last night. The FBI agents. They'd found her. The car pulled up beside her. Window rolled down. Going somewhere, Miss Monroe? What Marilyn did next would determine not just her fate, but the fate of everyone involved in Hollywood's darkest conspiracy. Marilyn stood frozen on the sidewalk. The FBI agent stared at her from the car, waiting. I asked you a question. Where are you going? Marilyn's mind raced. She couldn't tell them about the storage unit, but she needed a convincing lie. I needed fresh air. I was going to walk around the block. The agent's expression didn't change. Get in the car. I don't think that wasn't a request. The second agent got out, walked around, opened the back door. Marilyn had no choice. She got in. They drove in silence, away from the safe house, through unfamiliar streets. Where are you taking me? No answer. They pulled into an industrial area. Empty warehouses, no people. Marilyn's heart pounded. This was it. They were going to kill her. Just like Dorothy. The car stopped. Both agents got out, opened her door. Walk. They led her to a warehouse, unlocked the door, pushed her inside. The space was dark, dusty, abandoned. Then lights flickered on, and Marilyn saw them. 3 men sitting at a table, suits, expensive, powerful. She recognized them immediately, from the documents, from the photographs. The 3 men smiled. The FBI agents escorted her out, drove her back to the safe house. Pack your things, one agent said. You're going home. Marilyn went inside, grabbed her bag. But as she packed, she palmed the key. The one from the tape, hid it in her shoe. If this was a trap, she'd find out. But if it wasn't, if there was real evidence in that storage unit, she had to try. They drove her back to Brentwood, back to her house. Everything looked normal, untouched. Stay inside tonight, the agent said. Tomorrow your life goes back to normal. You'll receive a script from the studio, a new film. Your career continues. As long as you stay quiet, they left. Marilyn stood in her living room, looked around. Her home, her life, everything she'd worked for. She could stay quiet, keep all of this, be safe, or she could risk everything. One more time. She waited until dark. Then she called a taxi, gave the driver an address 3 blocks away from the Hollywood storage facility, walked the rest of the way. The facility was closed, but the gate was open. Security was minimal. She found Unit 247, used the key. It opened. Inside, boxes, dozens of them. Files, photographs, audio recordings, evidence, real evidence. The investigator had been telling the truth. Marilyn's hands shook as she went through the files. More names, more proof, more victims. This was it. This was what Dorothy had died for. But now Marilyn had a choice. Take this evidence and run. Give it to Robert Kennedy. Hope he could actually do something with it, or destroy it. Burn it all. Go back to her safe, comfortable life. She looked at one photograph. A young girl, maybe 17, terror in her eyes. And behind her, one of the men from the warehouse. Marilyn thought of Dorothy, of all the victims, of all the silence. She made her choice. She gathered everything, every file, every photograph, every tape, loaded it all into boxes, called a number Agent Collins had given her. It's me. I have everything. The real evidence, all of it. 2 hours later, federal agents arrived. Real ones this time. With a warrant. With authority. They took the evidence, documented everything, promised to protect her. You did the right thing, Miss Monroe, Agent Collins said. Did I? Because I'm probably dead now. Not if we move fast. We're going to arrest them, all of them, tonight, before they know what hit them. And they did. That night, raids across Los Angeles. Studio heads, producers, FBI agents, police officers, politicians, all arrested, all charged. The news broke the next morning. Hollywood corruption scandal. Systematic abuse exposed. Marilyn Monroe's courage. Marilyn watched the reports from a hotel room, protected by real federal marshals now. Agent Collins visited. "You're a hero. I don't feel like one. I feel terrified. You should be. There are still people out there who want revenge. You'll need protection for a long time." "How long?" "I don't know. Maybe forever." Marilyn looked out the window. At the city. At Hollywood. She'd exposed the truth. She'd fought the system. She'd won. But the cost was everything. Her home, her career, her life. Was it worth it? She asked quietly. Agent Collins was quiet for a moment. Then, ask the girls whose lives you saved. Ask the ones who won't be victimized now. Ask them if it was worth it. Marilyn nodded. He was right. 6 months later, a courthouse. Marilyn Monroe on the witness stand, testifying, telling everything. The defense lawyers tried to destroy her, called her an addict, a liar, mentally unstable, but the evidence was overwhelming. The testimony from other victims, the documents, the recordings, guilty verdicts, all of them. Hollywood changed that day. New laws, new protections, new accountability, and Marilyn Monroe became something more than a sex symbol, more than an actress. She became the woman who spoke up, who refused to stay silent, who risked everything for the truth. Years later, she was asked in an interview, "Do you regret it? Exposing everything that night?" Marilyn smiled. Older now, wiser, still beautiful. "Every single day I think about what I lost. My career, my privacy, my sense of safety. But then I think about what was gained. Justice, change, hope." And Dorothy Dandridge, Marilyn's eyes filled with tears. She started it all. She left that evidence for whoever came after. She died trying to do the right thing. And I made sure her death meant something. What would you say to young women today, to those coming to Hollywood with dreams? Marilyn looked directly at the camera. "I'd say this, your voice matters. Your truth matters. Don't let anyone silence you. Don't let anyone make you feel small or powerless. Because you're not. You have more power than you know. And if they threaten you, if they try to destroy you, then you fight. You gather your evidence. You find people you can trust. And you speak up, even if your voice shakes, even if you're terrified. You speak up. Because silence is what they want. Silence is what kills us, and we won't be silent anymore." The interview ended. Marilyn walked out of the studio, into the sunlight, free.